Professor Weisberg.
Yes, we had great difficulty in testifying about our need to enforce international law, the right given to us under the U.S. Constitution, that international law is the supreme law of the land. And that was very frustrating. But luckily, our attorney, Kirk Lung, in the final arguments was able to eloquently bring up why we actually did this action, which was that we feel complicit if we do not speak out. We felt limited in our ability to petition our elected officials. The fences that prevented us from getting close to the RNC were an affront to our civil liberties, and we felt the need to breach those barriers. Ever since 9/11, our civil liberties have been more and more constrained, and at a certain point we have to speak up and say this is too much. We have to have access at major political events to the officials. And so it was quite frustrating, although not unexpected during the trial, that we couldn't testify to that, but thrilling that our attorney was able to at least discuss that with the jury at the very end.
Well, I think that our system was set up well, but I don't think it's been implemented. And the judge intentionally excluded other law, which by our Constitution ought to have been allowed. And he, I think, minimized our intent too. And the prosecutor confused intent and motivation. And we've really got to have the continued effort towards overcoming injustice in this world. And that's what we were about.
Recognize that if we as defendants at the place we were, at the time we were, if we had not been if we had been much younger than we are, if we had been not quite as white as we are, if we had not been quite as educated, or if we didn't have the same level of education and erudition that we have, I think it's very clear and it's probable that we would not have been treated as we had been by the police, and that we probably would have been brutalized, especially if the media had not.
I want to say that I'm very grateful to have had this experience, and that I learned a lot about jury trial, which I did not know, and that I feel that today this experience and all of it is a challenge, and that you just keep going forward. And I find that rather difficult to think about, but I want to do it. And that's what I want to say.
That I found some of the system pathetic in its inability to meet the needs of defendants and of the jury. I also found at times that the jury was being treated as if they were elementary school children, and sometimes we were too. And that makes me a little ashamed. And that doesn't necessarily keep me from repeating what needs to be repeated, besides voting in order to bring peace to this
brief statement. At the end of the closing remarks of the prosecutor today, he quoted Martin Luther King Jr., a letter from the Birmingham jail, which I found highly ironic. Was the prosecutor indicating that he would have sent Martin to jail? Would the judge have sent Martin to jail? I think we look back and we see all the changes in our society, and many of it come from principled opposition. We're willing to go to jail, and that's why we're in the courtroom. We're not willing to just pay a fine and plead guilty. We want to bring our case to the jury with the hope that at some point people can change their minds. Maybe the judge can change his mind at some time. Maybe Prosecutor Christie can decide to stop persecuting people who are taking a stand against the war, and come and join the world community saying that international law is important, that there's a hierarchy to laws. And trespass is not the ultimate law. There are many other laws that are much more important than trespass, and that's what we were trying to get across. And so, yes, to Mr. Christie, we are willing to take the consequences of our actions, but we also hope that he takes seriously the fact that there are other laws that we also need to follow.
This is with
Yeah.
your camera.